Can we give a big welcome to our judges? Okay, before we formally start, can we just recognise the 6 teams who aren't here on this stage, but are very much part of Debating Matters India, and salute them? That's Sri Shankara, Singhania. We'll do it all at the end as one big cheer. Sri Shankara, Singhania, DPS Noida, St Mark's, Lady Andal and St Saviour's. To our guests, if you haven't met them already, they're a fantastic bunch of schools and students, and you should try and catch up with them or contact them again by the Facebook page. I am, to our guests, going to apologise in advance that I am going to prioritise taking students from those teams in the discussion from the audience, not to exclude you, but just because they have participated for the last 2.5 days, and even more than that, weeks of their lives, and lots of blood, sweat, and even a few tears. So I'm going to prioritise them, but we do invite everybody else to contribute. Okay, so here we are. Welcome to this final debate. India's future lies more with Asia than the United States. And for the motion, in this final, is Don Bosco School, Kolkata. And I want to clap not just the boys who are here, but the whole team who got them here. Don Bosco. And it's worth noting, it's Don Bosco Lilua. I can't cope with that bit. Okay, well, you know what I mean. They were the runners-up of the East India round, which is an interesting thought in and of itself, but they are here in the final, and the very worst that can happen to them now is that they take home a trophy, the runners-up trophy, as well as winning prizes. So well done to Don Bosco. Against the motion is Choksi from Pune. Choksi, to all of the team, let's give them a rousing welcome. Congratulations. Same thing, doesn't really matter what happens, you're going to take a trophy home, but obviously you want to win, but I'm just saying. Also, Choksi were the runners-up in Mumbai in the West India heat. So, quite an achievement, because what that means is that on the platform are 2 teams who, remember, in the final of their regional finals, will have been ritually humiliated by the judges and told that they needed to improve. And in the spirit of Debating Matters, they took that advice, they took the criticism on the chin, they came here, they weren't kind of, we were second, they came and it was a level playing field, and through their own merits, they are now the finalists in the first ever Debating Matters India. So congratulations to the teams for that. The fact that they are all boys means absolutely nothing. At all. Because actually, throughout the competition, there has been some fantastic female competitors, young women, that frightened the life out of me, that could give me a run for my money any day, and I expect will continue to do so in the future. I do not want the boys to imagine that the fact there's 4 boys here means anything at all, because it doesn't. Okay, there's a lot to fight for. I don't know if I've said this, but I'm Claire Fox, and I'm the director of the Institute of Ideas, in case any of you don't know me and wonder what I'm doing here. Okay, so there's a lot to fight for. There's audience prizes, and every school should be prepared to join in the debate, as I've said. And I know that you'll all want to get in this debate because you've all prepared for it. All 6 schools are prepared for it that aren't sitting up here. And I know you want those individual prizes. But I think at this stage, a kind of maturity is set in. And actually, when you put your hands up to speak, it won't be so that you win an individual prize, not that they're not important, but it's actually because you want to say something important. And that's been one of the most rewarding things over the semi-finals, was that the contributions just were not about showing off. They were actually about engaging intellectually in the real discussions that were happening. So I'd like to thank you for that. And also, having said that, there are fantastic individual prizes. And I want to now just credit and introduce you to our individual judges. I'm not going to get them to stand up. And I don't necessarily want you to, well, you can clap them as I do it, but they don't have to stand up. These people have worked so hard. They're not the ones who get up here sort of doing the glamorous intervening bit. They're sitting in the audience, scribbling notes, listening to everything you say. They have the real job of listening to find out who has made the biggest impact. I've talked to Shirley Dent, who's organising this team, and she's in a completely, frazzled state because there's so many good people that, the team trying to work out who's going to get the prizes. It's still not yet decided. Shirley just said, I'm going to see what happens in this debate now, and then we'll make our final decision. So a lot to play for. Let's meet that team. There's Bwana Bajaj, who's the Executive Metro of Young Audiences North India, who's working at British Council. I'm going to say a bit about them. Who's working at the British Council on Young Audiences and Future Leaders, and where a better place to be than to be here with all these young leaders. And he's worked for the last year and a half on that, and has also really helped us put the competition together. So now you can clap. There's Arnab Banerjee, who is Project Assistant at Intercultural Dialogue British Council East India. And he was, when he was at school, a national level debater, elocutionist and quizzer in his school in Siliguri. And he's also a bit of a film buff. He's directed and shot 2 short films, is an avid reader and a film buff. But the most important thing about Arnab is that Arnab was the person who was coordinating debating matters, both in East India, but sort of more generally. And we know Arnab from our office in London because Tony Gilland had so many conversations with Arnab, and it was a pleasure to meet him in the flesh. He has worked tirelessly for this competition, so it's also my chance to thank him. Arnab is an example, actually, of a young leader in the making. Arnab, thank you. Now you can stand and take a bow, Arnab. Come on, stand up, stand up. We then have Rob Lyons, who is Deputy Editor of Spiked Online. Rob writes on special topics of interest, especially of interest to him is on science and health, particularly the panic about obesity and about debates about environment. And he's particularly sceptical about recycling and the moralisation of everyday life. He's just written an article on Spiked, actually, on cheap flights in India, quoting many people from Debating Matters India. And if you haven't had a chance to do so, do look at Spiked Online. It's an international, irreverent, and incredibly stimulating and politically important website. So it's great to have Rob here over from London. Next, we have Kirti Mannion, who is Project Manager, Programmes, British Council West India, who designs and implements events in various projects, from music concerts to low-carbon economy lectures. And she likes photography, reading, music and dancing, and again helped us put together the West India final. Let's clap Kirti. We have Anu Tampi, who manages projects British Council South India. The projects she's involved in are Climate Champions, Debating Matters, Quit Scholarships, and she's finishing a Master's in Business Administration and has already a Master's in Human Resources. She's interested in driving. She just likes driving, she says, and skating, and she's a great animal lover, and she loves watching television as a TV addict, which is a bit like me. So it's wonderful to have Anu as part of the individual debating team. We have Stewart Simpson, who many of you know, he and Rob Lyons both judged in the regional finals, but also has been an individual judge, and he was on our China-India panel. He's a financial analyst, works for a European investment bank in London, writes widely on the economy, and researches specifically on corruption, governance, and the effect of debt relief on development, and he's the convener of the Institute of Ideas Emerging Economies Forum. Stewart Simpson. And finally, Shirley Dent, my colleague at the Institute of Ideas. Shirley and I put on the Battle of Ideas Festival. This year she initiated and ran and was the director of the Battle Satellites